At a request of some people on Twitter, we decided we'd make just a really quick video on a certain documentary.
If you're watching this, you know what it is, but we're not going to say the name of it. We're not going to say the platform that it's on.
This streaming platform, it ain't Netflix. This ain't flipping Tiger King or whatever.
This is a platform that is looking for its Tiger Kingdom. They're looking for that one series that basically everyone is going to talk about. I don't think this is it.
No.
But I would be very interested just in terms of like a subscription numbers. If we were to stack that up against, say, your main streamers, like I would speculate that it's possibly at the bottom rung of the ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in the few advertisements I've seen for this show, it's been like you're talking like 18 likes on Facebook, on their Facebook post. And I actually think they did publish the trailer the other day and it was deleted.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really struggling hard to advertise it. It's not going to make or break or sway any jury or anything like that.
So it consists of 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's dealing with Johnny versus Amber. Episode 1 is Johnny's story. Episode 2, Amber's story. Again, for the benefit of those who do not wish to watch it but want to know its contents, we're going to just run through high level what was discussed in each episode. Discuss like any points that we felt were important, stuff that was included, and also stuff that was left out.
Big one being,
sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Yeah, one thing that's really obvious here is like a lot of stuff is presented without context. And they did show the full TMZ video, including the smirk at the end.
They actually slowed down the end of that kitchen video and
freeze-framed it.
Freeze-framed it, yeah, and caught her smirk. So any viewer who's not familiar with the case watching it can see for themselves. And they also lean pretty heavily on the San Francisco tape.
Yeah.
I mean, as a whole, in short, if people don't want to listen to us rambling, as a whole, in short, I would say that Johnny's episode was more evidence and fact heavy. The evidence and facts had proved that Amber was a liar. On the other hand, Amber's side was mainly made up of like assumptions and tropes about both domestic abusers and assumptions and tropes about fans.
There were even, feminists saying it's for all the other women that are telling the truth. This case might do loads of damage. There were lots of women who were out to get Amber Heard.
I mean, they did focus, once again, all these tropes and assumptions of fans, that all fans are just, blind, death-worshipping idiots who just don't want to admit that he could be guilty and...
That he could do no wrong.
Yeah, like we just worship him and think that he can do no wrong. And, his footage was always the footage of the guys, somebody dressed up or holding a banner or shouting loudly. Those were the guys that made it onto the final edit. But once again, try to make us look as all extremists and all crazy. And of course, towards the end of Amber's episode, there was the bot guy as well, saying that, all these thousands of Twitter accounts were bots to harass Amber, which is pure complete nonsense.
Yes, Bot Sentinel was the name of that company.
It's like, oh my god.
It was funny though, it showed like B-roll of him just like scrolling through a tablet, and he was using his thumb, and he just looked like, it looked like he was trying to figure out how it worked. But I suppose just to kind of just give an overview as well of the running time. So yeah, 2 episodes. Johnny's side was 50 minutes long. Amber's side was 45 minutes long. I did feel the content of Amber's side, there was a lot of repetition. Obviously, there was a lot of the same clips that were used in episode 1 were replayed again in episode 2. But there was a lot of repetition and a lot of filler. Yeah. And it still came up 5 minutes shorter than the Johnny side.
Yeah, I mean, just to pre-warn people, they did play snippets of the cutting audio, which that was the first time you'd heard that. I mean, I remember at the time during the courts, I'd heard it and I warned you about it and you chose not to listen. So how do you feel now that you've kind of had it thrown on you?
Upsetting.
Yeah.
He was recorded harming himself, and then he asked her to cut him as well. Again, it was only that few snippets, so I don't know if they played the entire thing in court or if there's a larger chunk of audio that was missing.
I don't know if it was played in court, but it was definitely released in around the time of the trial, and it was submitted to court, from what I understand, or what I recall.
I also kind of want to just mention, like, there are some real randos as talking heads on this. I mean, on both episodes, you've got
Amber's friend's sister, like
something like that, and then you've got like the former editor of the National Enquirer, and it's like, oh jeez.
But yeah, and when he did make some interesting comments, or he had heard from sources that the Sun were very worried about this libel suit. Part 2, I think, in short, where part 1, Johnny said, had like actual solid evidence. Part 2 was just like all these tropes and assumptions. It was like, oh, he drinks. Other domestic abusers drink, so he must be a good domestic abuser. His fans are a little bit fanatical or eccentric. Oh, well, that must make he's a domestic abuser. And then it was as well, you were like kind of making assumptions of him, like as a Hollywood star. Oh, he's really wealthy and famous, so he's used to getting his own way, so he's like a spoiled brat. And anybody who's met Johnny knows that could not be further from the truth of who he is.
Yeah, and another thing that's mentioned in episode 2 is that they try to portray Johnny as being irrationally jealous when it came to James Franco, without any mention of the video from the elevator showing that there clearly was something going on there, as well as going on with Elon Musk. I think he was definitely justified in his concern that she was indeed being unfaithful. Again, that's a big chunk of the argument that was left out.
That kind of says a lot about the documentary's credibility.
The crux of episode 2 was really the text messages and that isolated piece of audio that they played in which he accepted that he headbutted her.
Oh my god, yeah. And then
they were treated as if that was the absolute turning point, and that was the deciding factor.
The Holy Grail, and everybody turned against him at that, which is completely and utter bunkum. I mean, the woman from Channel 4 was like, oh, it was just this vibes around the courtroom. Oh my god, he's done it, he's guilty. Like, that never fucking happens.
Yeah, with both the text messages and that audio, context was not provided. Yeah, there's that thing, the 70,000 texts that were accidentally released.
Yeah, I would like, does anybody listening to this have any legal background? I would like to know how that stands in terms of like, how was that allowed as evidence? It was accidentally sent to the Sun. And then I think most people wanted to know really these new audios, and I've seen quite a few people have been sharing them on Twitter and stuff. So these new audios appear to be mainly from the San Francisco recordings.
She goes to his hotel room in San Francisco, where she asks to see Johnny Depp. Now, the restraining order says he is not to come within 100 yards of her, and yet she turns up on her own to a hotel room where he is. The tape recording was made by her, not by him. He wasn't aware of it. And one of the first things she does is to ask him to hug her.
Is this how you wanted to end? I don't understand. Is this what you want?
No. Oh, no, I'm not saying all this, everything
I just wanted to touch you.
Really, after all this shit you just said? After all this shit you fucking accused me of?
Please stop. Please stop. Please, I just wanted to hug you and say bye. I didn't want to say anything back.
And he says, why on earth would I want to hug you when you said all of this shit about me? Which was a reference, obviously, to the allegations which have been made public.
And you everything I did everything I could do to make you happy. It wasn't. You don't want to get back.
I don't want to wanted you. I just don't want to.
You fucking love me. You don't fucking love me.
I did. I still love you so much.
And it used to.
what happens afterwards is just so bizarre in circumstances where someone has said, you have been so violent, I fear for my life, and I want the whole world to know, and I don't want you to come anywhere near me. And that is that she gets tired and she asks if she can go to sleep in his hotel room, in his bed. And she invites him into the bed. And he declines.
Get out.
Okay.
Now that's, to me, reeks of emotional blackmail. She was trying to use any trick whatsoever to create the situation where he would be in the bed with her.
Yeah.
And they just play that and really gloss over it, but it's very important to realise this was after the restraining order that she filed, got into bed and wanted him to get into bed with her, and all the time she's recording this.
Yeah.
Why?
No.
If anything, I would have been more angry at her for that than
Oh God,
what
yeah.
was captured in the TMZ thing, given given the course, the context of the recording.
Any of the new evidence actually does paint Johnny in a good light.
Like, there's no major needle moving moments
No.
in either episode where a person who believes one thing is not going to watch this and come out of it having their opinion completely flipped.
Oh goodness, no. People have heard the audios, they've seen the evidence for themselves, and they're very much on Johnny's side. And yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening to us ramble, and we'll hopefully we might make another video sometime in the near or far future. Laters.